All right. Hey, I'm here with Brian Sweeney, the Cleveland Indians Bullpen Coach. Thanks for being a part of this conversation and doing this today, man.
I'm glad I could be a part of it. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, of course. So how are you and your family doing in this kind of isolation and quarantine time?
You know, when I think about myself, I'm good. We travel so much in the game that if I can, having an extended time at home with people that I love is pretty awesome. I mean, of course, I would love to go back to work and doing what I love to do. But to spend time, when the whole family, Connie, Ava, and me are in the house, it's really unique. And I feel like it's important to take advantage of that. And they can't really leave me right now, even though you know they're stuck.
So you're doing well. Maybe I should ask, how are they doing with you being around? That's really the question, maybe.
So that is the best question because
Yeah,
I kind of mess with their schedules a little bit. It seems to
right.
happen often, but they're good with it and good sports, and
All right, good.
not used to having me around as much. But it's we're trying to take advantage of this unique time.
Yeah, and everyone's good and healthy though right now.
Good and healthy, yes. Thank you.
Good. Sometimes those are the things that matter most. So
Yeah.
that's great to hear, man. So you've had quite an interesting baseball journey. You've been in the game for a number of years now. So I would love to hear just kind of what that journey has looked like for you, the places you've been, where baseball has taken you and your family over the years.
Yeah, it's been a fun journey. I was lucky enough to play for 18 seasons and
Yeah.
a lot of minor league time, and spent time in Dominican Republic, Mexico, Venezuela, Japan, uh, Canada, just a lot of different countries, and we've been fortunate as a family to travel to a lot of those places. Connie's been in it since the beginning. She's since we were down the bottom of the barrel, and then having the opportunity to play in the big leagues, and then the girls were born into baseball, so they've been able to see different countries and be a part of this cool ride. It's really it's been good because baseball was hard. It was hard for me to get to my goal, so perseverance was really important, and doing it together with Connie and the girls has been a fun ride. It's the 24th year.
Yeah, 24 years now in the game,
Yeah.
huh? Absolutely incredible. So that's 18 years as a player.
Hmm.
That we said, and so the last 6 years, kind of in player development, coaching stuff. So what's that shift from being a player into coaching been like for you?
It's it's been a cool transition. Here, a quick story about how it happened. In my 39th year, I wanted to play till I was 40, and God revealed that my body wasn't ready for any more baseball after 18 seasons, and I was all in on being a player. I was all in, and then when it was time to step back from that, it was like, all right, what's next? And praying about it, talking to Connie and the girls about it. What's next? I pitched for a summer league team to see if my elbow was going to work, and it was hurting pretty bad. But the coach here that was here said, "Will you play another position?" I said, "Well, yeah, I did in college." He goes, "You want to play outfield for us?" I said, "Sure, why not?" While I was
Why
going
not?
through,
Let's just make the shift. Why not? Let's go
yeah,
for
let,
it.
let me jump in and have some fun.
Yeah.
And while I was going through this transition, and I fell in love with the game all over again. I was sliding, hitting, diving, uh, washing my own uniform, um, playing with guys, that, bantering back and forth, and being mad that getting rained out. It was a fantastic summer because it showed me that I wanted to be on the field and go into coaching. So that summer, God really showed me where I wanted to be, and it was a lot of fun. And now 6 years into coaching, it's what a great learning experience.
Oh, that's awesome. And so you've been in Cleveland now for 2 years?
This is my third year.
Third year now.
Yeah,
Okay,
third year.
gotcha. Right.
Mhm.
And well, the season isn't happening right now, but this would be
Right.
your first as the bullpen coach, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, it would be
Very
my
cool.
first. I was
Yeah.
The title was major league assistant or major league coach for the past couple of years.
Okay. Very good. So like all those years, all those countries you've been in and played baseball in,
Mhm.
I bet we could just talk for the next couple hours, or not talk, me just sit and listen
Yeah.
to you just share story after story. Like in all those experiences, all those journeys, there's got to be a memory or experience you have, or a couple of them that really stand out to you that are some of your favorites. What would a couple of those be?
Yeah, there's a lot of memories throughout the those seasons. A few stick out. Some good, at some transitional, some a little bit rough. Signing my first contract was really cool. From when I signed with the Mariners, the scout came to my house. My mom and dad were there. Signed the contract. He's got a dusty hat in his trunk that he gives me. He's welcome to the Mariners, and my dad still has the hat, and I think he even has the contract. Um, that was a really.
That's what parents do, man. They just hold on to that stuff.
They
That's
do.
great.
They do. I think my
Yeah,
dad's trying to clean stuff out, so he's going to be handing that over to me.
it's coming your way. Yeah, it's coming your way.
Yeah. I don't need this anymore. And then a few years into my playing, my mother passed away, and it was a really hard and dark time for me. Just a challenge, but learning perseverance and gaining strength through that loss started bringing me closer to God. Actually, I was looking for answers, and and the best answers weren't where I was going. It was what God was doing for me. So that was a something I remember. Obviously my mother dying, not the greatest thing, but God was working in my life at that time. Uh, when I get called up to the big leagues, of course, that, for the first time after 7 years of toil in the minor leagues, and it happens. And, a big, funny story to coach. They tricked me into thinking that he got fired, and I was mad for him, but they said, just kidding, you're going to the big leagues tomorrow. And, so that was very cool. And then the opportunity to pitch for the first time, running out of that bullpen at Safeco Field, and saying, wow, this is really happening. And a cool backstory to that is it just so happened that game, again, we were playing Boston, was on national television on a Saturday.
No pressure. No pressure, right?
I didn't even, it really didn't, had other things on my mind that day, but the TV wasn't a big deal. But it was good because we were in Seattle and my family's in New York, and my dad gets to watch this. This is after my mom has passed, but he was at a fire department picnic, because he was a Yonkers, New York firefighter for 35 years. And people come running out and say, Ed, your son's about to pitch. So the family of firefighters bring him in, put a recliner right in the middle of the living room, sit him down so he can watch his son pitch. And they surround him. And it's really kind of an emotional thought that the way they treated my dad at a moment where he was kind of vulnerable and needed the support, that there was people there to support that I didn't even know that was happening at the time. And lucky enough, I pitched well that day, which is good.
I was going to ask, how'd you do? How'd it go for you? So
divine intervention.
Yeah, right. There you go.
God really helped me out on the day. It was a good day. And I didn't hear that story for a few months. And when I did, it just blew me away at the support that I had back home from people that I didn't even meet that took care of my father. So that was a very cool story that I'll never forget. And then another one of perseverance was after my third year in Japan. I struggled. It was rough. I thought I'd finished my career, and they decided to let me go. But I decided that I wasn't done. I wasn't done yet, and I was going to do everything in my efforts. At least if I would follow God's plan, but my effort was going to be, I'm going to get back on the baseball field, on a major league field, and that was 2010. So I was about 35 years old, getting a little older, and I had the opportunity to get back to the big leagues with Seattle again 7 years after I left them. So that was a kind of a satisfying day to get back there and compete again at the highest level.
Oh, that's incredible. And like I said, I'm sure you could we could just go story after story for the next few hours here.
Yeah, we'd be bored. I'd be boring you. You'd be sleeping in about 10
No,
minutes.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love hearing those stories. And one of the things I just appreciate about you, and you've already alluded to it, is just how you've talked about God opening doors for that transition into coaching, and then even just how He's led you and guided you. So I would love to hear a little bit about that relationship with Jesus. Like how did that start? Did you grow up in church? Just kind of walk us through what that journey's been for you.
Okay. Yeah, I did. I grew up in church. My parents, every Sunday we would go to church. It was really important to them, and they tried to make it important to me. I learned a lot about the stories of Jesus Christ. I learned a history, and I learned, what went on in the Gospels, and the stories were great. And, it was really important for me to know the history of how things went. And, at church, sometimes I was forced to go. I was like, oh, we're going to, church again, as a kid. And, and I saw the importance of the body of Christ coming together and having communion together. But there was something missing too. I felt like the God that I was getting to know at church there was more to it. There was way more to it. He wasn't going to be mad at me for kneeling the wrong way or slouching in my seat. I felt like I'm not sure that's the God that I'm getting to know. There's more to this, and I was seeking for that. I was searching for that. But again, I did learn a great amount of stuff about the person of Jesus Christ and the Trinity and all that good stuff. So fast forward, it was in my searches, when I get to baseball, after my senior year of college, I come to get to know a group of people that are involved in baseball chapel. And that's where the Bible was really first introduced to me, and say, get in the Word, learn from the words in the Bible, start developing a relationship with Jesus Christ. That's what He wants. That's the most important thing. And
would you say that maybe up until that point, that might have been the thing that was missing? Like maybe it was more like the head knowledge, the information, kind of that upbringing of God, and what started to happen through the baseball chapel and the guys you were around was more the relational part?
Yes.
Okay.
So I learned about Jesus in a book, and he didn't become. We didn't have a father-son relationship, God and I, until I realized that was most important. That's what I was looking for. That's what was filling the emptiness in my heart. That's what I was searching for, and that's what God always wanted me to find. And
wow,
I was fortunate enough to find it. I found I'm always learning, always getting better and closer.
Wait, you're saying you haven't arrived yet?
Yeah,
you're not the perfect.
Oh,
okay, gotcha. Man, I thought you were. That's crazy. Gotcha.
But the people and the chaplains from Baseball Chapel have been fantastic. They gave me my first Bible, and I can't even read it anymore. You saw that last week at our Bible study. I have this Bible almost 20 years ago around, and the words are so small I can't even read it. So thank goodness for we can get the Bible on our phone now.
In larger font too.
Larger font.
Good,
yes.
Good. Yeah.
And here's my glasses that I
there
have.
It is, the Clark Kent look. There it
is.
is.
And so getting to know different people and being led in a baseball environment spiritually really turned it around for me. And in different cities, we can't go to church, and that makes things challenging. And there was a year in Portland, Oregon, that we were able to get to church a few times early in the morning on a Sunday. That really changed my heart and my family's heart, saying we want to find a place like this to worship at home. And we became fortunate enough that we did find a place here in New York called Grace Fellowship that's really filling our soul and giving us the fellowship that we need. So our journey is never ending. we continue to walk with God and try to understand and develop that relationship better.
That's so good, Brian. I appreciate you sharing that. And I'm always curious too for you, finding this relationship with Jesus and your relationship with Jesus really starting in the baseball world, which may not always be the easiest world to live out your faith. Like
Sure.
what was that like for you, especially earlier on, being a newer Christian in the baseball world, approaching, the big leagues, the show, that you talked about. Did you find that difficult? Or was that community that you had around you, did that make it a little easier for you?
It was difficult because, we were missing the fellowship. We were only getting baseball, hopefully once a week. Sometimes it didn't work out to where practice times didn't work with baseball chapel, but having a set of guys working together, Christian men, and kind of holding each other accountable, was really important. And that grew from year to year. And then realizing that you can, when you're back at the hotel or you're at home, you can have church. You can have church with your family, even if you don't have one. We can read the Bible. We can sing worship songs. We've got great Christian rock on the radio stations
Right.
now. And,
do you want to sing some of those songs for us now? Just a little? No.
I'm gonna hold off on that. But
okay, gotcha.
I'm a better listener than I am a singer. That's for sure.
Well said, man. That's well said. That's so funny.
Better listener.
Yeah.
So but being around Christian men made it a lot easier.
That's incredible. And were you able to find that in the different cities, different teams, or different countries that you were at? Were you able to find some guys that love Jesus, have a relationship with Jesus, that you guys could come alongside each other with? Or was that really difficult in some places?
It changes from year to year, month to month at times. If you get moved up a level or down a level, you're learning new guys, getting to learn the different pastors that are coming in to help us with baseball chapel. Then you get moved again to another place, or you go to another country. I've been to baseball chapel in Venezuela and the Dominican Republic in Spanish. And it was just wonderful to see that around the world, the impact that baseball chapel has had, as well as when I was in Japan. One of the baseball chapel was over there too, where he owned a cafe, an internet cafe, and he would come and help us out on Sundays. And there was just a really small group of us that got together, but we were able to get in the Word and get to know Jesus better.
Oh, that's great. I love just even though things may be changing, that community, that universal kind of language or picture they get of the body of Christ, functioning together, coming together, the community that can take place there, and the importance of what that means for each of us. Like I tell people that the Christian life is not a solo sport. Like, it's meant to be done in community. And I think you just highlighted that so beautifully. So I'd be curious, if you give your life to Jesus earlier on in your baseball career there, what sort of things began to change in your life? What were some of those things that God began to do in you, reveal to you? What took place? And a lot of times I'll use the phrase where we may not be where we want to be, but a lot of times in this journey with Christ, we're not where we once were, right? So it's this process, it's this journey that he's taking us on. Just like we alluded, we're certainly not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but we love Jesus and we're trying to pursue him. So what sort of things did you notice God doing that began to change in your life there?
Yeah, once that relationship really started to blossom, with the Holy Spirit in my heart, I was making better decisions. I was relying on God to help me through good times and in bad. And we're going to hit adversity in life, and I would fall. I would veer off the path, I would fall down. But now, instead of falling on a book, learning about Jesus, and just falling on a Jesus from a book, I had a cushion to fall on. God would catch me, and he would pick me back up and say, this is you're going through this for a reason, but you can get back up, keep going. So I had that cushion, and it's just like right now, my faith is helping me get through, what this world is going through. My faith is, Jesus is helping me lead my family. So if we do stumble, if we do see, the bad news that's going, the death and the dying and the uncertain future, if we fall down, we have a cushion because God has got our back, and we're really lucky to have that. And he picks you up every time.
Yeah. And there's a comfort in that too, right? Yeah. And also I think knowing that we don't have to do it all ourselves.
Oh yeah.
Like you just said, like it's God and his spirit working in and through us, that brings about that change and that transformation. A lot of it's just simply us, kind of like you just talked about, like embracing that grace and that love and living in surrender to him.
Let me show you something that sticks on here's the Bible that was given to me, right?
That is super small. Yeah. Please tell me you're going to read out of it right now.
I am not. I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to show you a picture. So.
All right. We got the bicycle there. Yeah.
The bicycle. Have you seen that sticker before?
No. Tell me a little bit about that.
So somebody in Baseball Chapel gave me this sticker, and said, what happens on a bicycle like that? Like you both pedal, right? And then the person in the front steers. So, okay. And he went through it and said, a lot of times we as human beings want to be in the front. We want to be in the front and show God where we want to go. We have to sit in the back and just help pedal. And that really worked for me. And the stickers in my Bible. And, a lot of times I got to sit on the back of the bike and follow what the direction God is taking.
That's so
glad
good,
you brought that. I'm glad you helped me think of that.
Well, thanks for sharing that. Whenever we're able to get back together and do chapels in person, I might just have you start preaching the rest of it. And that was so good. That's a great illustration. That's really good.
You're good.
So yeah, I would love to hear. I mean, I think you talked about it a little bit. Some of what God's doing now with in this time, the perspective he's giving you, that comfort he's given you, and your family as well. Like, I would love to know, what are some of those things that maybe God's been speaking to you, or some of those things you're noticing him doing in your life or in your family right now?
We were talking about, just yesterday, our, the power of the tongue and our speech and how important that is. We're home I'm home with my family. I'm messing up their schedules, their school schedules, Connie's work schedule. I'm messing everything up. And
right. Like we talked about, don't worry, we're all going to be praying for them more so than you. Yeah. Without a doubt.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They need it. And just speaking life into each other. We're together all the time, and you're bound to get on each other's nerves, but you love each other and you speak life into each other. And that goes a long way, because when you speak death, it just puts you in such a bad spot. So God's been working with Connie and I, on our words, and we're so fortunate to know that God has our backs. And there's rough times ahead. We don't have a baseball season. Who knows if we have one at all? What does that mean for job security? Connie owns a dance studio. When can kids dance again? There's so much uncertainty, but we have our trust in God that he's got our backs. Things will be able to put one foot in front of the other, and just like that bicycle, we'll keep pedaling and we'll let God lead.
Wow. That's so good, man. I really appreciate you sharing that. And I would love to just hear from you, or let you, I feel like you've already offered so much encouragement and hope just in this conversation to people. But one of the things that we were just talking about even before we started this conversation was you serve as a volunteer firefighter in New York. And so somebody that very much on the front lines and experiencing stuff, you even referenced that pager may just go off in the course of this conversation. Like in this time of uncertainty, and where people are experiencing fear and anxiety, and they just may need some hope or some peace and some encouragement, what would be something that you would like to say to everyone?
Yeah, it's so tough. Everybody's going through so many different things, and we're not all the same and all in the same situations. I can go back to what helps me. What helps me stay in the right direction. We were talking about fellowship before. The first time I ever, outside of chapels and things like that, I jumped into a small group at my church, and somebody recommended it to me, kind of pushed me that way, and I listened, and I joined a group, and we did this series called Every Man a Warrior, and it was fantastic. It really was. It was a group of 4 or 5 guys. We got together and we went through this, and it was helpful, and tangible things in life that were really helpful. I would encourage people to reach out to their church and see if there's a small group. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. Just, you can jump right in. Is there a Bible study that somebody's offering at church that you can do through Zoom? I had to finish Every Man a Warrior, when I was coaching, through FaceTime. They sat me on a little couch over there, to get through the book, and I was able to get through it with them. We have the technology nowadays that we can have that kind of fellowship, and join together, a Bible study. We're lucky that, we have you to, each week to go through a Bible study. We're going through James, and we think of James 1:2-4. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever we face trials of many kinds, because the testing of your faith develops perseverance. And I think I said perseverance a lot today. We need to persevere through this, because, and I said this too, God's got our back. He really does. And,
That's so good, Brian. Yeah, that's really good.
There's one Bible, verse we have upstairs on our door when we leave, that we're able to see it on a chalkboard, that our family really enjoys and we all like it together. We all like different verses. But 1 Thessalonians 5:16-18. Be joyful always, pray continually, and be thankful in all circumstances, for that's God's will for you in Christ Jesus. I mean, that really sums it up for me. And when I think of that, that helps me move on for my day too.
Wow. Good. So the rest of the chapels, man, you're going to be the one leading them and teaching them. You got it. That's so good.
That's not going to happen. But thank you for asking questions, and thank you for God.
You're at least going to be leading the rest of the Bible studies, man. That's great. So I just appreciate it. I feel like anyone who may be watching this, I hope and I pray that they feel encouraged and a sense of hope based on what you shared, your story, your relationship with God, those words of encouragement at the end, and some of that scripture, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate our relationship, our friendship, and thanks for just taking the time to do this and share a little bit of your story and be a part of this conversation, Brian.
I hope I didn't talk too much. I probably did. So I apologize to anybody that watches this if I talk too much.
Yeah, we'll do a part 2 and a part 3 and a part 4 of this. Just let you share all those stories, man.
One show. That's it.
Yeah, this is the teaser. So, all right, brother. Appreciate you, Brian.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You got it.